deep breath into your body. And then exhale. Feel the pelvis settling down, merging with the earth. And then feel your spine lifting up towards the top of the head, while maintaining the feeling of groundedness and at the same time the feeling of lift. Place the middle finger of your right hand on the heart center. As you touch the heart, let that be a reminder that there's a beautiful being of light, that part of you that is the all of you, a bright light of love. Begin to massage that spot in a clockwise circle. And remind yourself that in a challenging time, I still have me. This is when we are most challenged, at a time like this, with so much unknown, to do the work of yoga. Reach inside of yourself and find a beautiful feeling, something inside of you that helps you to feel good. Something that helps to elevate yourself into a better feeling place. We know and we understand that this could be a very challenging exercise. But do your best. That is all. Try. Make an effort. How can I find that beautiful feeling that helps to calm my nervous system, to help remind me I am more than the darkness that I perceive? And then pause and just place your hand on your heart. Remember, this is like having a place that you can go where everything is all right. A retreat where you go and the world can't get to you. Your challenges are not there. And it's right here within. Now place both hands together at your heart. Take a deep breath with me. And as you exhale, bow your head. Then release your hands and open your eyes and lift the head. Let's begin our practice. Lift your arms up, weave the fingers together over your head and turn the palms to the sky. Stretch way up and then bow the head forward. If there are any challenges with your shoulders, just remember you can always do the practice with your hands apart. Now release the arms. Take your arms out to the side and pause. With the arms level to the floor, pull all the fingers and the thumbs back towards the shoulders to help open up the wrist channels. Now release the arms and we'll twist to the right. Inhale, feel the lift, and exhale, twist. and then release. Lift again and turn to the left. Inhale, lift, and exhale, twist. And then release. Let's bring our legs out in front of us. Pump the quadriceps several times. And we'll sit in Baddha Konasana. This class has been promoted as all levels. So at any level, if you're watching, I'll pause and remind everyone there's some different things you can do that may make the practice a little bit accessible to you, and then also remind those of you who might be a little bit more advanced in years of practice that you can go ahead and do a practice a little bit more like what you would enjoy and feel like you're going to benefit from. Let's sit in Baddha Konasana. Now in this practice, it's not the pose where you're putting the feet together and you try to sit upright with your hands wrapped around the feet. In this practice, we're actually trying to spread the inner thighs, which means that the feet will come apart. If it's hard for you to sit here like this without collapsing your spine, place your hands behind you and get a lift. And then let the inner thighs relax. Let the feet come up. I realize the camera may not see my feet, but what I'm doing is letting the bottoms of my feet open up. Then release and bring the legs together, stretch out, and let's do downward facing dog. Cross your shins, roll over, and come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So let's see, So let's do this tonight. Bend your knees, lift the buttock bones. Now while keeping the buttock bones lifted, feel how when the pelvis tilts, you can get your low back longer. And then slowly straighten the legs, but try to keep the low back long. Now take another deep breath and use this exhale to step up to the front of your mat. And I'll back up a little bit, so I'm staying with the camera so you can see me. Let your feet be even and the hands up to the side. If you need blocks, please have your blocks handy and then release the upper body. Let's breathe into the back body and see if we can release some of that tension. And let each exhale help encourage something to let go. Now, to come out, let's make sure that the hamstrings don't pull on the pelvis, which could help stress the back body. So we'll bend the knees and then sweep the arms out and up. Bring the hands together and then down to the heart. Let's do a movement practice now. Let's do it the way that most of us will be able to do, and then let me remind some of us who may be more like a beginner how we could change this and make it more accessible. We're going to do some lunges tonight because in tonight's practice, we're going to focus a lot on the hips. This morning we focused on the shoulders a little bit more, and tonight the hips. So we're going to use the lunges to address the tightness that we might have in the hip flexors. So if you want to put a blanket down, that'll work just fine. Let's start by standing at the front of the mat. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend forward. Bend the knees when you come down, and then straighten the legs, come up halfway, and then on the exhale, step back over the blanket in the downward facing dog. We'll do up dog and down dog 3 times. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha, Svanasana, and exhale back to Adho Mukha, Svanasana. Let's do it again. Inhale, squeeze your thigh muscles, keep the pit of the abdomen, the lower abdominals lifted. And then one more time. So some of you say, wait a minute, that's not quite what I can do. So that's all right. Step the right foot forward, put the left knee down, and release the toes. The next time around, I'll be showing you a simpler variation. So now we've got to get that hip flexor on the left side open. So make sure your right knee is over your right ankle, and then scoot the left knee back. After you scoot the left knee back, then move the left hip forward. And that way the pelvis is level, and hopefully you have the opening in the left front hip. Look forward or lower the head if you feel tension in your neck. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, step back into downward facing dog. Or take the knees, the leg back, and come into child's pose. So this will be the variation. Now, some of you will stay with Adho Mukha Svanasana and Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, down dog, up dog. If you need a simpler version, we'll come into Balasana, child's pose, and then come into Cobra, modified with the elbows straight. Exhale, back to either downward facing dog or child's pose, and inhale into either upward dog or Cobra on the straight arms. We'll do one more of each. Then we'll come back to either child's pose or downward facing dog, and we'll take the left foot forward. Then here we go, inhale, and on the exhale, well, we've got to get that left foot up to the front of the mat. And if it doesn't make it, pick it up with your left hand and help hoist it up there to the front of your mat. Check the alignment of your left leg, the knee over the ankle, and then if you feel like the right leg could go back some more than the knee, scoot it back, and then move the right hip forward. The upper body, keep the shoulder blades descending towards the pelvis, and check out your neck. Does it need to be in neutral, or can I look up, or should I look down a little bit? Just don't drop the head and close your throat. Take a deep breath here, and on the exhale, return to downward facing dog or child's pose. Back again to the little movement sequence. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Or you're doing the simplified version. Let's repeat that lunge. Step the right foot forward, left knee down. This time, we'll change this lunge. Once you've got your knee over your ankle of the right leg, you tuck your left toes and lift the knee up. But by the way, and many of you know this, you can always have blocks at the front of the mat if you feel like you need some more height over your leg. Now the back leg, sometimes the knee wants to bend a little bit. So give it a super charge. Make the back leg thigh muscle work. And then release. Back to downward facing dog. Back into the movement sequence. Don't forget the breath. Inhale in the back bend. Exhale in the forward bend. Let's do it one more time. And now we're ready for the left side again. Inhale and exhale all the way to the front of the mat. And then, once you've landed and you've checked the alignment of the left knee over the left ankle, lift the right leg. And then supercharge that thigh muscle. Make the thigh work hard to help straighten the knee. Pay attention to the neck. Don't let your neck be tense. We're ready to go back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, and by the way, if you're coming to child's pose, you can just put the right knee down, then take your left knee back. And everybody start your vinyasa. Child's pose to cobra or Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, to upward facing dog. Now hold this dog for an extra breath. And on the exhale, we'll step up to the front of the mat. And we're back into Uttanasana. Take a deep breath. And on the inhale, up and come. And bring the hands to the heart. Excellent. Now we're warmed up, I'm hoping, and we're ready for our hip openers. If anybody wants to do traction on the hip, go ahead and get your extra belt and set that up. I'm not going to demonstrate that or take the time to do it myself because it's something that some of us know and some of us don't. And since we're just an hour long, I'm going to go ahead right into Supta Padanga Stasana. And then some of you might want to say, well, I know how to do that and I can do it very quickly. So into the hamstring stretch we go. We've done this every class so far. So if you've done these 3 classes with me, you've had a lot of hamstring stretches, which should be good for us. Unless you're blessed with those wonderful open hamstrings. Make sure that you're keeping the thigh muscle firm, the right one and the left one, but more importantly, the right one, which sends a message to the left hamstring to relax and also help keep the knee straight. It's important to make sure that you're not over gripping with your hands and keep your shoulders relaxed. Let's do one more breath and then we'll switch sides. Now the leg that you can't see, which is now the right leg, it's a sneaky little devil. See, your mind has to travel. It has to review the things that you're doing with the left leg, which is keeping the muscle firm to keep the knee open and the hamstring stretched. But you have to look down and see or check in your mind with your inner wisdom has to check that right leg and make sure it's not rolling out. One more breath and release. Now let's do the outer hip practice, which is called Parivrita Supta Padanga Stasana. We'll take the right leg up again, and this time we'll take the leg to the left, and the big toe lines up with the right shoulder. The right big toe lines up with the left shoulder. And to help with the position of the thigh bone, if we put our right hand on the pelvis, the outer hip right here, with the thigh bone, it's actually thigh bone and pelvis, and roll the thigh bone away like that. It helps to put the thigh bone in the right place. That whole hip joint is now in the right place for the right stretch. And just so that you can see more clearly, I'll turn this way and show that my leg crosses the body only so far as it can without the pelvis moving. And then the left leg rolls in. It doesn't roll out. Sometimes it wants to roll out so bad it can't hardly stand it. Now bring the right leg up and release. Let's do the left leg. I'll just stay here and you can see how this practice will go again. I do want you to pay attention to that job of the left hand. It comes in hand. This will be your right hand, my mistake, I apologize. The thumb goes in the hip crease, right where the thigh bone meets the pelvis. The hand goes on the outside and press the left hip away and then cross. I just realized I'm not mirroring you, so my instructions may be a little bit awkward. So let's review. It's your left leg you're doing, your left hand, and the right leg rolling in. And then up you come and release the left leg. So you can see, doing online video live is a little bit challenging. For the next practice, the Parshva Supta Padanga Stasana, which is the inner thigh opening, I'm going to put a blanket on the outside of my right leg. I'm going to actually do my left leg first because I'm going to stay in this position and mirror you. So let me adjust my camera just a little bit so you might can see better. Yeah, you can see the blanket now that I've put just in case I want my leg to rest on something. You don't have to do it this way, but it's nice because the leg does get heavy. This belt still goes around the head of the hip. This is going to be your right leg. So I'm mirroring you. The blanket is right there at the top of the thigh bone so that when it goes out to the side, it catches right at the top of the pelvis. And now I don't have to work so hard to keep from rolling off to the left. I'm still attentive to the left leg, making sure it rolls in and presses down. I can even take my left hand and keep it on the thigh and press it down to remind it. Don't get lazy. We'll use an exhale to help lift that leg up. The right arm, the exhale, all working together. And release. And if you're using some support on the outer hip, you can move that down and get ready for the other side. The left leg is up. I put both of the belts into the belt ends to the left hand and take the leg off to the left. The blanket supports me right at the top of the thigh bone. I keep pressing to the right leg, and the right hand, it needs a job. So I put it right there on the top of the thigh and say, steady, stay there. So this leg pressing down and this hand reminding this leg to press down also along with the blanket support can help keep me steady and keep me from falling over to the left. And now on an exhale, we'll lift that leg up and release it. Now just relax for a moment because you're done with the straight leg hip openers, and so it's always nice to do a little self-assessment. How do I feel? Now for the next one, most of us are familiar with Duryodhanasana, which is the practice of doing internal rotation to help release tension in the external rotators. The knees will be bent and we'll be lying down again. I'm going to do the practice this way so you can see what happens with my legs. We'll do your right leg first. Now the foot is pulled towards, the toes are pulled towards the shin, and you'll step the right foot off to the side. Now you're lying down, but I'm sitting up just so I can do some pointing to some things. There's a 90-degree angle behind the knee here. So you want to check your thigh bone and your shin bone as you roll the knee down towards the floor. You want to check and make sure the thigh bone is parallel to the two sides of your mat or the two walls in the room, and the shin bone is also parallel to the wall that you're facing. Then, with us all lying down, we'll go over the actions because they're so important to help make the change in the hip in this movement. The movement is internal rotation to release tension in the external rotators. Make sure the toes are being pulled towards the shin. That's important. Press the thigh bone away from the pelvis and create an opposite action of pulling the pelvis away from the thigh bone by lifting your lower abdominal muscles towards your heart. To create the rotation, roll the knee down towards the floor, and at the same time, roll the buttock down towards the floor in the opposite direction. So it takes 5 actions to make this an effective practice. If you want some help from the other leg, you can place the left leg foot on the behind the knee. The heel and the ankle can go behind the knee, and you can let the weight of the left leg help draw the right leg down. But be careful, make sure you don't have any knee pain. Otherwise, don't do it with the weight of the leg on top. This becomes a very important practice when we sit a lot and these external rotator muscles can get tight. Let's release the left leg off the right leg. Put that foot down on the floor, and then on an inhale, lift the right knee back up and step the foot back onto the mat. It's helpful, I think, to straighten that leg for a moment, squeeze the thigh muscle around the knee joint, and then straighten the leg. Let's do the other side. Pull the toes up towards the shin even before you take the leg out to the side. Just remind yourself, this is important and I need to hold this position with my ankle. Step the left foot off to the side and then roll the knee down towards the floor. It's helpful to just look up and see, is my shin parallel to the wall that I'm facing? Is my thigh bone parallel to the two sides of the room? And then have I let my ankle get lazy, or am I continue to pull the knees towards the shin? Now press that thigh bone away from the pelvis. That's part of traction. The other part is pull the pelvis away from the thigh bone by lifting the lower abdominals. Roll the knee down towards the floor. That creates internal rotation of the thigh bone, and counter that by rolling the pelvis down towards the floor. Now, you may feel that this is enough, but if you want more, you can always get it. Place the right outer foot, the heel and the ankle behind the left knee, and then let the weight of the leg draw the leg further down into internal rotation, as well as you can even pull the foot, your top foot, your right one, away from your face and create a little bit more traction. So the right leg, if you can use it, can actually do two things. It can help draw you a little bit more into rotation, and it can also help with the traction. This is a posture that's become very important for a lot of us that sit a lot. And now that we're stuck in our homes, isolated and can't get out, in theory, I think we should be doing a lot of this practice. We don't want our hips to get tight. Oh my goodness. Let's release. Take the top leg off, lift the left knee up, step the left foot back on your mat, and once again, straighten the left leg out. Now let's do the external rotation movement. And we'll just keep the left leg straight and lift the right leg up and cross it over the left leg. Now the ankle, your right ankle, has to go across the thigh bone of your left leg in order to make this the correct pose. And the knee cap should be below the shin. And then once again, pull the toes towards the shin. These bent knee practices require us to keep the knee safe by putting the toes towards the shin. Now you're ready to do the actions that will actually help the hips change. Press the thigh bone away from the hip, but this time, not straight ahead, but in the direction that the thigh bone points. So follow the thigh bone towards the knee, and the knee is where you reach towards. And then to try to get more external rotation, which will release tension in the internal rotators, see if you can press that knee down towards the floor. In this practice, the pelvis will stay level. In the last one, it doesn't. So it's okay to just touch your hip points and check and make sure you're staying level. Now let's lift that right leg up, stretch the right leg back onto the floor, and lift the left leg. Cross it over. Remember, the ankle of your left foot will be on the outside of your right thigh. And then you're right above the kneecap. The shin is right above the kneecap. Keep the toes pulled towards the shin and let the knee drop. Create the traction by reaching the thigh bone away from the pelvis in the direction of the knee, and then create rotation by trying to get your thigh bone to drop down towards the floor. This is one of those poses that requires a lot of time, a lot of patience, and a lot of breath. And let's release. Lift the knee up and stretch your leg out. Now squeeze your thigh muscles several times and then just relax the legs. So we've done 5 hip openers so far, actually 6, because we have to count the lunge as a hip opener. So that's 6. But there's another one that we should do also to help us get the thigh muscle. Now in the hip opener sequence, I know we do Ekapada Supta Virasana, but since I don't know what level everyone's practice is out there in virtual land, I decided tonight that we'll do this practice together in standing. So let's come to Tadasana, standing. And you can use the wall if you like to support yourself, since you're going to try to hold it for a while. Let's do the right leg first. So if I'm facing you, I'll be doing my left leg. So I'm using the wall right here for support, and then catching the top of the right foot and pulling the heel towards the body. Now, if you can't catch the foot, then you just take your belt and catch the top of the foot. Takes a little coordination to catch that baby, and then pull the heel into the body. It's important to know that if the knee comes forward, you're not really going to stretch that front thigh muscle. So press the knee back as you press the right buttock forward and pull the heel towards the buttock. Those three things are needed to create this stretch. And don't let your quadriceps or your front thigh muscles get the best of you. We've got to keep those muscles open because tight front thigh muscles are a major component of knee issues. Let's do the other side. So you'll be doing your left leg. Reach up, catch the top of the foot, pull the heel to the buttock. The knee may want to come forward. See if you can get the knee to press down. And as you do that, press the buttock forward. That way the buttock is not going back and the knee is not going forward. Also, from the front view, make sure your knee doesn't peep out to the side. That's called avoidance. It's trying so hard to avoid the stretch. So very, very hard. It'll figure out, how can I get out of this? And then release. Good. So now we've done a total of 7 hip openers. But wait, some of you are saying, I want to do the piriformis stretch. Well, who am I to argue with you? Let's do it. Sometimes it's called eye of the needle. So we have our knees bent, we cross the right leg over the left, and then you bring both legs towards you and you hug the left leg. I bet everybody out there in virtual land knows how to do this pose. You're probably doing it quite often. This one gets that piriformis, which is right under the gluteus maximus, your butt muscle. It also hits that outer hip muscle a little bit too, the gluteus medius. It's a good idea, just like in those other 2 rotational practices that we did, to keep the toes pulled towards the shin. Let's see. Yeah, you can see me pretty good. I just want to make sure that if you need a visual, that you're getting a good visual. Now, I know you want to stay there all night long and wait for your toes to come land on your shoulder, but let's go ahead and do the other side, and we'll come back and let you do that later. Once again, now will be your left leg crosses over your right, and you can give yourself a big hug on that right leg. Oh my goodness, this one got tight on me. Something must have happened. Oh, again, watch that foot. If it gets too loose and lazy, that means the knee gets loose and lazy. So keep pulling the toes back towards the shin. And then we're going to release and just stretch out for a moment. Just take a little quick itty bitty teeny weeny shavasana and feel the effects of what you've done so far. When you get this much work done in your hips, you release this much tension. This is the perfect opportunity to do some of your favorite standing poses. Would you agree? Of course, I can't hear you answer, but I feel like you said yes. Now I notice once again that when I stand up, now you can't see my head, so I'm going to do a little camera adjustment. And that way, as we're doing standing postures, you can see me clearly. Now in the meantime, while I'm doing the camera adjustment, you can be getting your blocks ready for Trikonasana and Parsvakonasana and Half Moon, because we opened up the hips very well. So we are ready for some Half Moon. I know you are. Let me see if I did that well. I have been able to find my perfect place and do the practices, and I don't seem to have it as good tonight as I've had in the previous 2. But you're ready to go, so let's do it. Let me see if I can just get my head more in there. I mean, I fixed my hair just for this. You should be able to see it. Tadasana. Are you feeling the shoulder blades down your back and the shoulder blades, the inner borders pressing forward? And we want to pay attention to what happens to the carriage here as we hold ourselves in these tense postures during the day, as we learn more and more. Unsettling news. Can I keep my heart open? Can I keep my shoulders in place? Can I keep the lower abdominal muscles pulled up? Keep in mind the work of the shoulder blades, staying against the back ribs and the shoulder bones back. Bend your knees and take a big step apart with your feet on an inhale. Turn your left foot in just a little bit, just a little turn in, 15 degrees, and your right leg outlining. Now check to make sure that your thigh muscles are firm and supporting you as we move over the right leg to place the hand on the block. I do recommend using a block, or if you use your leg, just don't put weight on the knee joint. And if you try to go to the floor, just make sure that you don't go so far forward, so far down that you end up going forward to get into the pose. We say these things a lot because we want to make sure that you find a place to actually enjoy and benefit from the posture and not wish that it would hurry up and end. Let's come out. Inhale, up. Turn the feet forward. Exhale. Right foot in, left leg out. Inhale, reach out over your left leg and place the hand down on the block. Triangle pose, left side. Let's take our mind back into the shoulder blades. They should be drawing towards the pelvis and be firm against your back body. Sometimes when we get in a pose, we start to let things go. So let's check and make sure that we keep these lower abdominal muscles lifted. We need the support of our abdomen in these postures. And the thighs are both contracted and firm. Now let's come up. Inhale. And turn your feet forward. Exhale. Bend the knees. Inhale. And step or jump your feet together. Exhale. And rest. Now Utthita Parshva Konasana, or side angle pose. I've done this in every practice so far, and I'm so glad because it felt so good to me this morning. We have to do it again tonight. Wide stance. Left foot in and right leg out. As a matter of fact, so wide that if you can, that this leg comes down to parallel, closer and closer. Then you reach down for your block or the floor, and this arm is just going to sweep right over your head until the arm is close to your ear and the palm faces the floor. Sometimes we don't like seeing ourselves on video, but it gives us a chance to refine ourselves. We look at the shape and we can tell that maybe a leg isn't in the right place, or maybe an arm isn't quite alive with the practice. Everything can be modified too. For example, before we come out, if this arm is problematic, it can always be slightly forward. That might be more comfortable for you. Or you could just keep the hand on the hip. Now let's all use the power of our legs and this arm, if you're able, to help lift you up on a big inhale. When you turn your feet forward, sometimes the feet creep together, so you got to make sure you still got your wide stance. Turn the right foot in and the left leg out. Inhale. And exhale. Bend the knee again. And let's see, can we get that thigh bone close to parallel? And then down into the posture we go. Adjust the block so that it works well for you. Don't hold yourself back from the posture that you can go deepest towards. Yes, once again, it feels lovely to open up that side of the body, the top side. This also helps your shoulders and your hips. Again, use the breath in the top arm. Inhale up, feet to forward, bend knees, inhale, exhale, back into mountain. As promised, it's time for half moon. Oh well, here we go. Now don't forget, there's a lot of variations. And one of the ways is to go ahead and back all the way up to your wall if you need it. Look to the left and to the right of your mat as you're setting up for triangle pose, and make sure that all extra things are out of the way. You have a clear runway to your left and right. And then mountain. Hands at your heart, step your feet wide apart. Left foot in, right leg out. Reach out over the right leg, Trikonasana. Now let's move through the pose together methodically, because I know this is a multi-level class and some people might not be able to just step right up into half moon. You can, of course, but I'm going to guide you this way. Place your hand on your hip. We're going to get rid of the top arm. Look down. Let your eyes find something to focus on. Bend the right knee and step the left foot up towards the right foot and then move your block out. The hand should be behind the foot, about 12 inches from the foot, and then lift the left leg. Once you're in the posture, lift your left arm. Those of you who are much more advanced, have been practicing for years, don't need the block, but just remember, as you go down, because your hand comes towards the floor, the leg in the air goes up. Let's return to triangle pose. It's nice to go back before you fall out. Inhale up you come, and turn your feet forward. We're ready to do the other side, right foot in, the left leg out. Stretch out over your left leg and bring your hand down to the block. Pause here. Now just take that right arm, place it on your hip and look down. Bend the left knee, step the right foot towards the left foot, take your block out 12 inches from the little toe side of your foot. Up we come, bearing weight on the right leg. Excuse me, left leg. Now, if you have your balance, take the top arm up. And now return. Bend the left knee, step the right foot back, find the position for Trikonasana, and come back into triangle. And remember, if you do fall out, it's okay, but make your way back to triangle pose so that you end up learning where to land. Inhale, and step your feet together, exhale. Sometimes, after several lateral standing postures going from side to side, it's nice to bring some symmetry to the spine. So let's take our feet hip distance apart and do forward bend. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, bend forward. Now, if your hands don't touch the floor, you're going to dangle from your back body. The back body muscles might not like that. So I encourage you to have blocks on your hands and lift yourself up a little bit. Still find the stretches, just don't hang from your back. And remember, if you take the blocks wide and bend the elbows up to the side, you'll actually release a lot of tension here in the neck and keep your arms from hanging by the ears. We'll bend our knees. And just in case you have tension in your low back, we'll put our hands on our hips with the knees bent and inhale up. Otherwise, you can come up with your arms. Good. I was thinking that at this point, we need to do a little shoulder strengthening. So why don't we do Vashisthasana and do some different variations of that posture? I know you were looking forward to something calming down and relaxing, but sometimes you just have to give it that one more little oomph before you go to the unwinding part of your practice. So we're going to move these blocks, and don't worry, I'm going to give you a lot of different variations, 3 to be exact. Number 1, we'll start in down facing dog for Vashisthasana, and we'll roll to the right hand and the right edge of the foot first. This is the arm balance pose, the side arm balance. So we're in Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then we bring the feet together, shift into a plank, and then roll to the edge of the right foot, and then lift the left arm. Now, if you need some help, take the top leg, your left leg, and place it in front of you like this and push that foot into the floor to decrease the work of the left arm, the right arm having to hold you up. So the leg is now also helping. Keep the pit of the abdomen lifted and keep your pelvis strong, the muscles around the pelvis strong and lifting. Now you can simply roll back into the plank posture from here, or join the legs together. If they're already joined, wonderful. Roll back into the plank and push back into downward facing dog. Now let's do the right side again and do the modification. We did 2 modifications. We did the actual pose and then a modification, but this will be a second modification. If it's wrist issues or elbow issues, sometimes even shoulder issues, if you put the forearm down, come into the plank and roll into the side, you can do the pose from here. And this also will help strengthen the shoulder, but it takes a little bit of that arm out where you might have some problems. Inhale with me. And exhale back into the plank on the knees, and everyone will go back to downward facing dog. Now I'm going to turn around so that I can do my left side facing you. Okay, we're back in downward facing dog. You've got 3 versions. Are you ready to practice your variation? So we'll come into the plank, feet together, and roll onto the left arm and the left edge of the foot. Take the right arm up. Now, if you need to, you can place the right foot on the floor and give yourself a little lift. Okay, we should stay here for 4 or 5 minutes. I'm kidding. I know what will happen. You'll just come out of the pose and I won't even know it because I can't see everybody. Back to plank, back to downward facing dog. And then down to your knees, and it'll be nice to do a child's pose here. Or take your knees apart and do Adho Mukha Virasana. Place your hands beneath your shoulders and press yourself up. Now I want you to do a shoulder opener. This one we didn't do this morning. And I thought that, we need to make sure that we're continuously working across from the breastbone, across the pec major and the pec minor. And we have found that this is really one of the best ones. We can do it with 2 blocks like this. So it's a very simple setup. There's a little space here because this edge should be about T12 at the bottom of the rib cage and the head should be supported. So that's one setup. Another setup, if this is too high or not comfortable, is to use 2 blankets folded narrowly, so they're very narrow. And you can see when I put these blankets beside the blocks, they're about the same distance for the spine to lie on, from the base of the thoracic spine, which is the bottom rib, to the top of the head. I'm going to start here, and then I'll show it again on the blankets. So you sit in front, see if you can locate that place where the bottom rib is, recline, and then check and make sure that everything feels comfortable and supported. If not, don't fret it. You don't have to stay in this variation. Then, when you bring the arms up, they're like a goalpost, coming from the shoulder at 90 degrees or slightly below 90 if you feel like that's, or if anything feels impinged, and then 90 degrees at the elbow joint, the palm and the wrist in a neutral-like position. Our job now is to let everything from the breastbone, where there's an incredible amount of connective tissue that gets tight and bound, to let all that begin to lengthen and release. Now you stay there, and I'm going to come off and also set up on the blankets in case somebody needs to see that. So I sit in front of the blankets, find the bottom rib, just poke around there and all that soft tissue that's back there until you find something pokey. And if you estimate, that'll be fine. You don't have to make it perfect, but it's in that general area. And then once again, arms out to the side, elbows at 90, and let the arms come down. Try to be mindful of this. Sometimes we're not aware that the arms drift away, the forearms will drift out and then just come down and rest. That's a different stretch. We're really trying to get it from the connective tissue here of the pec major. The two are coming together here. There's so much bound stuff, and then across, joining with the pec minor and onto the shoulder girdle. The pec minor to the shoulder girdle and the pec major onto the humeral bone. That's why this arm position is important. And now we'll just rest and let this happen. Now, if you like, you can stretch your legs out. I do get that question a lot. Legs straight or knees bent? Well, that would depend on your low back. Then the question will be relaxed legs or active legs. I think in this practice, it will benefit us if we roll the thighs towards each other and press the thigh bones down. This also is a practice of setting yourself up and staying for a little while, not being in too big of a hurry to jump in the pose and jump out. Gravity is actually doing the work for you. You just have to set yourself up and get the correct position. Now, if your arms were resting on the floor, but you felt a tensional pull, then that'll be fine. You don't have to have a muscular stretch. But if you were relaxing on the floor and you felt nothing, it would be okay to elevate yourself a little higher. Let's come out of the pose now. Let's bring our arms together above the face and chest and bend the knees, and all together we'll roll to the side and sit up. Good. Tonight, I actually want to show you a different way of doing bridge pose, because not everyone always feels good in their neck and shoulders. So the other way to practice would be to place one open blanket or a towel on the floor like this. This is an optional practice, by the way, but it also prepares us for shoulder stand more, because in shoulder stand, we won't be using a flat floor. So I've got this other blanket folded like what we do at storage at this yoga studio. And then I'm going to put a second blanket. So this practice took 3 blankets. If you don't have 3 blankets, you can always use your thick towels, and even this can be a towel. Or if you're on carpet, it's a great opportunity to forget the towels and just use your carpet. I just didn't want my head stuck on the sticky mat. This time tonight, when I do bridge pose, I'm going to let my shoulders be on the... I hear one of my dogs on the other side of the store yawning. He's ready for Shavasana. So I'm letting my shoulders stay on these blankets and the head come to the floor. So now, because my neck is in a curve downward, when I lift up into Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, which is bridge pose and also the preparation for shoulder stand, I won't have to worry about any pressure in my neck. Let's step the feet close to the pelvis. There are 3 ways to do the arms. Hold the edges of your mat. Use a belt, and if you hold a belt underneath you because you have tight shoulders, the palms are up, or interlace the fingers. I'm going to do it with my fingers interlaced tonight. So lift the pelvis part of the way up, do a little tuck where you move the back of the pelvis towards the knees, interlace your fingers, or hold your mat, or hold the belt, and roll the shoulders under. Now I'm on my shoulders well, and I can press the feet and lift the rest of the way up. So I've got all that wonderful space behind my neck now. No pressure. I said this morning, and I'll say it again. This practice is wonderful for helping us to strengthen our back extensors, the low back, the hips, the back of your thighs, and opening up the front body, the abdomen and the hip flexors at the same time. So it's an important practice. And the next piece of this is that it helps prepare us to get up into shoulder stand, which is known as the queen of the asanas. So we release our hands and let ourselves down. Now we'll roll over and sit up and decide on how do we want to set up for Shavasana. And I know it's easy to just say, oh, I'm going to skip this and go start cleaning my house or cooking my dinner. But don't forget, this is where everything you've done tonight in this practice is now going to be marinated into your body. So for just 5 minutes, get as extremely comfortable as you can and rest for a few moments. I'll be bringing you out. So no need to worry that you'll fall asleep and not get anything done tonight. I'll be here for you. Begin to rediscover your fingers and your toes. Bend your knees. And then once the feet are on the floor with the knees bent, rock gently side to side. And then roll to your side. Press into the floor. And come to sit. It has been my pleasure to be in your home this evening, practicing with you. I'd love to see you live. I'd love to be with you, but this is what's best for now. The light within me sees and honors and celebrates the beautiful light inside of you. Namaste.